Our second honoree, Weiwei Nu, is a human rights and democracy activist from Myanmar. She spent years as a political prisoner under the Burmese military government. One of the horrors of her imprisonment was being cut off from everything that was going on in her society. So out of that experience, she has worked to raise awareness and mutual understanding and improve the human rights of the Rohingya.
And as a Rohingya, she understands the horrors of hatred and intolerance. Through her organization, Justice for Women, she is working to educate women on their rights and efforts to combat sexual harassment and domestic violence. Weiwei's work in Myanmar is critical. As the formal peace process between the government and various armed ethnic groups stalls, as the persecution of the Rohingya minority goes on in all of its horrific forms, and displaces tens of thousands of Rohingyas, Weiwei works through civic education, social media campaigns, and training programs to promote understanding, justice, and the possibility of a brighter future for her country. Now the citation. For her unstinting efforts to build a more peaceful and equitable future for Myanmar, for using her voice to end ethnic violence, particularly against the Rohingyas, and for advancing progress for women, Georgetown is proud to present the 2018 Hillary Rodham Clinton Award for Advancing Women in Peace and Security to Weiwei Nu of Myanmar.
Also having like a good mentor. In my life especially, I realize I have a privilege to have very inspiring parents. And my father is the one who taught me humanity, to be tolerant, to be forgiveful, and also to help others. So we were in the prison as families, 5 of us, and because my father was a politician. And yet I realized even in the prison, he was helping others. He was working, but even like risking his prison time. If he caught up by the prison staff officers, he would get more extra charge. And yet he was working. That made me feel, more responsiveness. And you realize that however the life and your conditions is hard, at the end of the day, if you know what's going on to you, it is your responsibility to respond to it and to work on it.
I think there should be another W in your name. WWW, Wise Weiwei. And then once you got out of prison, you could have just had a life of abandon just to enjoy your life, but instead you set up 2 and then later a 3rd NGO to work for justice and for rights in Myanmar. Many of you here will be following the progress of Myanmar. It's not easy for any country to emerge from a military dictatorship. Is it harder than you imagined?
Yes, of course. Because when we were released with the presidential amnesty, we were released as by the president's statement saying that the political prisoners will be able to involve in the country's transformation democratic transformations. And we were very hopeful to get involved, to enjoy freedom, which we did not have for more than 5 decades. And I actually thought we will have a lot of freedom around like freedom of expressions and freedom to practice human rights and to have more dignified life than previous under the dictatorship. But instead, what I have seen, at the beginning I didn't realize for a few months, but later on I was joining some political programs and I was talking to different minorities, like not people in Rangoon or in the capitals, in the cities, but people from rural areas, like ethnic areas. And I was specifically talking to my families, extended families in Rakhine State, and I realized their life remained the same or even getting worse. And suddenly, like after a few months, we have seen the violence against the Rohingya and Muslim community, which is portrayed as communal conflict. Of course, in our understanding today, it is not. So by then, since then, the situation has deteriorated tremendously, and now it's like very worrisome and very horrific stage of what's happening in Burma, not only just against the Rohingya community, but it's for all ethnic minorities, and freedom in itself, freedom of expression, freedom of assembly and association has been severely threatened recently. The journalist has been targeted, and it's been getting worse. At the same time, the stage of people life are not even secure. We've been hearing increased numbers of people have been arson attack or attacked to death. So it's been increasing. So it's really worrisome. I would say it's not as we expected, and this is the time to reflect and to move forward again.